Hello, this is Lee from Woodland Classroom. Today I'm in a conifer forest looking for spruce needle tips. They are a forager's delight, but in the wild food world you don't hear people talk about them much, yet they have this real punchy citrusy flavour which works amazing with plenty of recipes. When I get home, I'm going to show you 3 of my favourite recipes that you can use these spruce needles in. It's early May and it's at this time of year that the spruce tree is putting out all its new growth. And it's at the end of the branches you get this new bright spring green growth. It's almost like lime green and you can see it from a distance. And unlike the rest of the needles on the tree, the ends are very, very soft. And it's those ends that we want to pick and use in our recipes. Spruce needle tips are packed full of vitamin C and also minerals such as potassium and magnesium. They are also full of beneficial antioxidants that can help protect you from disease and enhance your immune system. Great for coughs, colds, any kind of upper respiratory ailments. It makes a great winter remedy. It's a wild food that is in abundance in a forest like this, so it's easy to identify, easy to gather, and we can get lots of it. Here we are at a young spruce, and straight away you can see what I'm talking about. It's these bright green tips. They're what we want. Now you can see that they would have been covered in this like papery case to begin with, so we want to pull that off. Sometimes you can shake a branch first and they'll come off on their own and then you can just pick them. You do need to be careful. The rest of the needles are quite sharp and they can give you a right good spike. When they're young like this, they're nice and soft. It's when they age, they harden and get really spiky. They also darken and then they're no good to us. Just something to pay attention to. Be mindful that if you pick all these tips off, you will stunt the tree's growth. If you're in a plantation like this and there's loads of them about, I wouldn't worry too much, but I still wouldn't strip the tree bare of all its tips. I tend to take about 10% only of the tree and then move on to the next tree. Right, I've done my foraging. I can go home and get preparing. The first recipe I'm going to show you is how to make a nice refreshing spruce flavoured drink, and I'm going to show you 2 different methods how to do this. The first method I'm going to show you is making ice cubes flavoured with spruce needles. Whoops! Now these spruce needles have been sat in filtered water to infuse for a couple of hours. These ice cubes, once frozen, can be bagged up and kept in the freezer and then taken out whenever you want to add to a gin and tonic, a lemonade, just some tap water. But the ice cubes themselves will be flavoured with the citrusy, piney flavour of the spruce tips, and that will look fantastic in a summer cocktail when you serve it out to your guests at a barbecue or something like that, or just if you want to feel a little bit exotic when you're drinking your gin and tonic. They'll look fantastic. The next method I'm going to show you is a very quick, very simple flavoured water. Spruce juice, I like to call it. All you want is filtered or tap water. I prefer filtered. A bottle that you can seal. Any bottle will do. Fill it up. Not quite to the top because we want to add some of our spruce needles. Then we're going to add some spruce tips to add a nice, refreshing, citrusy, sprucey flavour to the water. Make sure all those paper cases are off. Experiment with how many spruce tips you want to put in. But if you find that it's too strong a flavour when you come to drink it, just water it down a little bit more. This will infuse in the water. You want to put it in the fridge overnight, let it sit, and then the next day you've got beautiful flavoured water. So simple. I'm going to top this right up now. And this will stay in the fridge for a couple of days. You've got a nice refreshing summer drink ready to go. The second recipe I'm going to show you is a salad dressing. Here's one I made last year, which is spruce tips with black pepper infused with honey and apple cider vinegar. I also made this one, which is a spring dressing infused with wild garlic, spruce and chives. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is put a layer of spruce tips in the bottom of my jar. I'm going to put in a few whole black peppercorns. Next, I'm going to put in some apple cider vinegar. I'm going to put 2 of these little cups in. As a rule, you want double the amount of olive oil to vinegar, unless you prefer it really tart, and then you can add more vinegar than olive oil. Let's leave it at that for now. Then I always like to get organic, extra virgin olive oil for a salad dressing. Next I'm going to add a dollop of honey. Raw honey, locally sourced, is always best, but that will really sweeten up your salad dressing. I'm going to try and get another spoon in of that. You probably need to let this infuse for a couple of weeks. Now I've left the spruce tips whole so you can actually sieve them out when it's ready and you're left just with the dressing. You could finely chop the spruce tips and leave them in as part of the dressing. So that's ready. I would label that, put it in your pantry or somewhere cool and dark. Let that infuse and you've got a nice fresh summer salad dressing. I've just made another vinaigrette with almost exactly the same ingredients, but instead of using the apple cider vinegar, I used balsamic vinegar instead. So that's another idea you can do. Now vinegar is a great preserver of any plant material, and it's excellent at drawing out all those nutritional properties that the plant contains, which is why using the plants in a vinaigrette is a really, really good way of getting all that goodness into you and keeping it fresh throughout the year. But it's not only dressings and drinks you can make and use spruce needles for. It also goes well with fish, chicken. You could mix it up into couscous. You could mix it up into a hummus, into a rice dish. You could also make ice cream or sorbet or ice lollies. So the list is endless. If you think about if you would use a lemon for something, just replace it with a spruce needle. The next recipe I'm going to show you is spruce syrup. And here's one I made last year. I'm going to have a little try of this. Oh, it's sweet. Great on ice cream or porridge, but it's got that real citrusy, sprucey flavour to it. I also add it to the herbal teas as well if they need to be sweetened. But that should contain all the vitamin C and the minerals of the spruce tips. So I'll show you how to do that now. So, bottom of the jar, you want a layer of spruce. Next, we want a layer of just normal granulated sugar. Another layer of spruce tips. Some more sugar. So we're going to carry on layering sugar, spruce, all the way to the top. I'm afraid this is very sugar heavy. It's not the healthiest of dishes, but if you have it sparingly on something like porridge, then hey, it still contains all the goodness. You could experiment with different types of sugar that are better for you, like coconut blossom or honey. the sugar is going to fall down to the bottom between the spruce needles and in all the gaps. So after a couple of days I would start giving this a shake up and down. Now the sugar will draw out all the goodness and will leave you with this liquid. Now I would probably leave it 2 to 6 weeks. Basically judge it based on how much syrup, but very soon you should start seeing a line of liquid coming up the jar. Keep shaking it. You might want to add some more sugar if you think there's too much green at the top, but that then will need to be sieved out and you are left with the yummy syrup. Once you've bottled it, date it and put it in a cool place, and it should keep fine for up to 2 years. Thank you for watching, and if you've got any tips on how to use spruce needles in recipes that we perhaps haven't covered here, please leave a comment below. If you've enjoyed this video and want to support us to make more of them, you can become a patron of ours. You'll find the link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. See you next time.